Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Welcome, Speeds. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to follow Speeds over there. They also they also have a podcast out now. Hopefully, I can learn how to do all that digital shit, and one day we'll come out with the podcast. But right now, you can follow us here on Twitch. We're live every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. It's Tuesday night. Everybody will be our first Tuesday night Impact watch
Yeah.
party, where we'll be touching on, we'll be watching Impact's debut on Access TV. So it should be
Live on Twitch, so
live,
everyone can
yeah.
watch it.
Should be very, very fun. Title match and all that good stuff going on. Two title
Cage
matches.
match. Yeah.
Renee low key is thirsty as fuck for Vince as Mr. AEW. You never know. You possibly never know. All right, let's go through some wrestling rumors and innuendos, and then we'll get into what Jim Cornette had to say today. Oh yes, NWA Power.
That's right.
Appreciate that.
Might as well.
Go before we get into the rumors and innuendos, Dave. Why don't you give your quick little thoughts of what you thought of NWA Power this week?
I thought it was a good show, and some people said it wasn't as good as some of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But look, if people are tuning in, which I don't know how long this can sustain long,
Dude,
I really don't. But I think NWA Power is a good show, and it's fun because they give you those interviews, which are really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
behind the set and that old desk or whatever, and Jim Cornette and commentary. But NWA Power is just a showcase show, just like NWA Saturday Night was back in the day, or WCW Saturday. It's a showcase show to put your top stars and maybe have one good match, maybe two, but really the matches are about putting their stars on against basic local jobbers to have them go over and make them more, build their stars up more. And that's what wrestling used to, that's how Raw used to do it back in the day.
Right.
So that's what they're, NWA Power, if you're going on there looking for a 5-star match, well, guess what? You're not going to get it because the last 2 weeks they've had run-ins in their main events, so it's just like, if you're looking for big matchups, it's not going to happen. Like, they might have some good matches here and there, but it's basically just a showcase show to showcase the talent.
Right, and they have a pay-per-view coming out.
Views, though.
Yeah, they have a pay-per-view coming up. Apparently, they already sold out at the event for the pay-per-view, so not sure if we're going to do like a whole review of it or anything like that. Possibly maybe in the future. But yeah, I have to tell you what, they have been doing a really, really good job over there on NWA Power. It's a different...
It is some good matchups.
Yeah, it's a different type of wrestling company. You're not going to get a lot of your flippity-floppity stuff that you get in AEW and WWE. It's definitely more of your classic wrestling, and they definitely do a really, really good job over there, over on NWA Power. So yeah, props to them. We'll try to make it more of a weekly thing. If I can get some highlights over on the show, I'll do that as well. But yeah, NWA, keep doing your thing. You're doing a really, really good job. You have a lot of people talking about you, and you're a nice... it's nice to have a wrestling company like that where you don't have to worry so much about politics, and you just can sit there and watch the show and not worry about, is it AEW versus this and that. It's just NWA Power. They don't care about anything else going on in the world. They just concentrate on what is going on on their TV show. Seems like run-ins are going to be a regular, says Bobaruski.
And they always have been with NWA. Back in the day when the Horsemen were on there, they would always run in during the matches and attack Dusty or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, you know what? I like some of the interviews. I like the stuff they're doing with, Camille. I like that stuff. And yes, she is hot. I mean, but yeah, I like what they're doing. They're setting this up. And it's a good little storyline to set up where she doesn't talk, or you think she's going to say something and she doesn't. When she finally does speak, it's going to mean something, I think.
So let's move on to some wrestling innuendos and rumors. We only have 3 topics to touch on, and then we'll get into what Jimmy Cornette had to say. I know that's just Bob Baruski's favorite segment that we're going to be touching up on next.
Not you know.
But we had Vince McMahon, or what Vince McMahon thinks about a possible CM Punk return to the WWE. The recent speculation regarding CM Punk returning to WWE has been rather rampant in recent weeks, with both Punk and WWE seeming much more open to the idea than they have in recent years. Punk has been rumored to return as an analyst on the new WWE Backstage show on Fox. He reportedly had a successful audition for the role, but recent reports suggest that Fox has moved on from Punk, although that doesn't mean they've closed the door entirely. During a recent interview on Barstool Sports, Punk was asked if he would return to pro wrestling. He said, absolutely. For 5 years, I've always been asked that question. No matter what I say, it gets reduced to clickbait and it gets warped. I've gone through so many iterations, people saying, oh, Punk hates wrestling. None of that was ever the case. I think I've always been open to it. My attitude has always been that I don't see it happening. I think I've talked about it more recently, but my attitude hasn't changed. People always ask, what would it do to go back? What would it take to go back? And I say it would take a big bag. So people use their imaginations. As for WWE's attitude toward Punk returning, Triple H has been pretty vocal about WWE being open for business and alluded that the door is open for Punk. According to everyone's favorite, Dave Meltzer, in the most recent Wrestling Observer, there has been a belief since AEW launched that WWE is handing out big money to retain top talent. And while some of their longer-serving talent are being given lucrative deals, they are not writing blank checks for all. In fact, Vince McMahon is reportedly no-selling recent reports that Punk is open to returning to WWE and believe he is holding out for a blank check. While he isn't against his return, he would be fine if Punk signed elsewhere. You believe any of that shit, Dave?
About Punk or about Vince?
Both.
I mean, the Punk stuff to me is hilarious because, well, let's be real. When he was basically, he hated pro wrestling forever, it seemed like, and he wanted nothing to do with it. He was all calling it, oh, that fake stuff I used to do in my underwear, and and he was just killing wrestling for a long time. He didn't like, he would trash wrestling fans and all this crap. And now all of a sudden, the last year or so, he's been like, oh, I'm open to wrestling. Oh, guess what? The reason he's talking about saying he would come back, and guess what? He wants you wrestling fans to go download his movie off whatever the hell it's on, Amazon Prime or whatever the fuck it's on. It's not no theaters. It's one of those.
It isn't selective theaters, Dave. Come on now.
Oh yeah, just like all those classic Marine movies were too.
It's in selective theaters, so
that's the only reason. And the whole Vince McMahon story, I believe it because he probably Vince holds grudges. We all know that, so he might still have a grudge towards CM Punk in the lawsuit situation. You know, he just had to. I think they lost the lawsuit. The WE didn't they? So
somewhere I'm not honestly sure.
I think Punk won the lawsuit, I believe, against WE. So I mean, he just had to pay him a bunch of money. Now you want Vince to say give him a blank check? I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it would be smart for WE to get CM Punk, but yeah, but I don't know. It's interesting.
I think if they want to make Backstage more a kind of must-see show.
Oh, you mean for
they would add Punk.
Oh, you mean for that? Okay, then that I thought he meant the big money to come back to pro wrestling for back to WE.
No. I think it would take more money for him to come back to wrestle.
Because wouldn't that be Fox paying him? Wouldn't it be Fox the one who's doing that then? Not Vince wouldn't have nothing to do with that, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, but I'm sure he could say some if Vince wanted Punk back. What is Fox gonna do if they sign him and say I want him on Backstage? What is Fox gonna say? No. I mean, they could, but they could just put him on something else, you know?
See, I'm reading into it. Vince wouldn't have nothing to do with it if Fox hired him. So I think when he said if they want me to come back to wrestling, when you said that, it would cost a big bag of money. I think that's what it would be, what he's saying to come back to wrestle again. I think the whole Fox thing would be something completely different. It would be Fox paying them, not WE.
So Speed makes a good point. Do you think this this whole wrestling, because it is true, and Speeds makes a good point. You said it earlier too. It's kind of weird timing that all this wrestling speculations and him coming back is happening when a movie's coming out this month of his. So this could be trying to draw more attention to himself.
Oh, definitely.
And on a side note, don't forget my movie's coming out this week or next week or whatever have you in selected theaters or whatever have you. So nice promotion, nice little idea by Punk to do this because it's free promotion for him and free promotion of a movie he's doing. Who knows if he's just playing the crowd and playing the wrestling crowd to maybe think that, oh, he might come back. Because not only did he say that, CM Punk also had some more stuff to say today, this week. CM Punk has said that the new promotion, All Elite Wrestling, has something great going on, but should focus on the WWE less. Speaking to Zach Wojnar of Screen Rant, the best in the world praised AEW stars such as Jon Moxley, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, but said the repeated WWE references weren't helping. He said, "I just think it lessens and cheapens what they are doing when they constantly attack WWE." Elaborating, Punk said that there hasn't been realistic competition to WWE in so long, but that AEW will be successful if AEW wrestlers focus on AEW. "I would like them to just try to focus on their product and building it up and making it better," he said. "I think that would benefit all the fans." There's no shortage of instances with AEW referencing WWE, including Cody Rhodes destroying a Triple H throne at Double or Nothing, and Chris Jericho recently bashing the company and their creative team during AEW Dynamite. What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
I mean, he makes a good point because they have done a lot of that. I mean, even on their YouTube show to their live shows. I mean, they've done that, and he's not wrong. I mean, they should stop taking shots, and even if they're little fun shots, people like to dig at the other company. But I mean, he's not wrong with this whole situation. And to me, if Punk did ever come back to W and actually wrestle, I think he would want some type of control over what his character does and how he's portrayed now. And he said in recent interviews in the past that he's looked at WWE now where he sees where wrestlers can ask for time off and get time off now, because he said where was that when I was wrestling, because they didn't ever give you time off. And so now it's like you can get more time off. They're more laid back about giving wrestlers time away if they want some breaks or whatever. Because look how long Sasha was out from WrestleMania till what? Just after SummerSlam or right before SummerSlam or what?
Yeah, I mean, she was out for as long as she wanted. She was granted time. She was allowed to clear her head, and she could come back whenever she wanted. So
yeah, well, everyone kept speculating.
Those are also deals that are ironclad. You know, those are women and guys that are with the company and they don't want to release. You know, it's different in different situations. Like look at Bennett, who wanted his release. They granted it to him because obviously they feel like
cared.
They don't feel like he's worth the shit to them. But if that was Banks, who said I want out of this company, they'll say all right, but we're gonna fucking hold you to your contract until it's over. So have fun at home. That's what they're gonna do. It's just certain situations. Now with Punk, I'm sure Punk will probably get some kind of lucrative deal, kind of towards similar to what Brock Lesnar has. Won't wrestle every show. Won't be on all these dates. Will be at the big time shows if needed. You know, I don't think he would be an every week wrestler. You know what I mean? Kind of just shows up every now and then when he's needed or he's in a feud or something like that. Sasha was out for exactly as long as Brad Shepard said she was out. Because every week
she was coming back. Remember, every week on Raw, she was coming back. I mean, I have reports that sources are telling me she's going to be at Raw tonight.
Thank you.
She's going to return at this pay-per-view. So if we start saying that every freaking week that something's going to happen, then it eventually will.
Yeah, look at Ruru when he said he had time off, and now he's back doing the story where it feels like he's being punished for saying can I get some time off, boss? Yeah, it's just different situations for different people, you know. Obviously, the WWE sees a lot higher than Sasha Banks, a lot of others, and I can you got to see why there.
Yeah, like Bennett hasn't really done nothing, and look, Harper hasn't done much in a while, but he's a former champion. So that, I think,
I will say this with Rusev, all right? Yeah, he's in this kind of cuckold, divorce court, stupid situation storyline that he's getting right now. But if anybody didn't watch backstage, Roman Reigns put that man over. He put him over. They asked him, who would you like to team up with, or who are you looking forward to working with on SmackDown? Or, I can't remember exactly the words he said because it wouldn't make sense with Rusev, but he said something around the lines of Rusev being back and that he reminds him of himself and that he's this big brute roar. It just put him over Rusev. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at least he's kind of at least getting put over, even though he's in this stupid Cold storyline.
Yeah, I think he was saying something like it's better to be on this side with Rusev in the ring instead of being like up against him.
Right. He was putting him over because they're teaming up with each other at Crown Jewel. Very, very good point there. Maybe that was the question. I think maybe the question was like, who is he looking forward to teaming up with?
And then Corbin attacking Reigns afterwards. I gotta give Corbin credit. That crown did not move once.
He's doing this, what everybody likes to make fun of Shawn Michaels. He's glued it to his head, apparently. Like Bob Ruski said with his hat, he glued it to his head. Anyone know if Mike's been booked since he's asked?
Nope.
No. But I don't know if does he have to do like that 90-day thing too when you ask for a release?
I would assume so, yeah.
So maybe that's why as well. So we have one more thing to touch on. It's AEW related. I don't know much about this guy at all, but he was recently signed by AEW tonight. I'm probably going to butcher his last name, so forgive me. Anthony Ogogo is a former English boxer Olympian during today's Southside Wrestling 9th anniversary event. He went out and attacked MJF and laid him out, apparently. And then afterwards, Cody Rhodes announced on Twitter that they have signed him. And they're kind of saying that this is kind of their first guy that they're putting underneath their wing and kind of developing him type of thing. I know you don't know anything about him.
Nope.
I really can't say have any comments about him, but because you probably don't know shit about him. But does anybody in the chat room know anything about this guy at all? I think the boys and even the top guys probably support asking for releases if they're unhappy. I would assume so, yes. If you're unhappy, why be there?
Yeah, but Vince is going to give it to a guy like a Mike Kanellis because he hasn't really done nothing. And to me, he's probably not on Vince's radar.
He even said, like he said on when he announced his release, and he came out with that big old kind of why he did what he did. He said that he feels like he is in the best shape of his life, and that his daughter's old enough that to be able to watch him wrestle, and he wants to be in those type of New Japan wrestling matches where he can go out there and just perform 30-minute matches. So he was just saying that he wants to wrestle, and in WWE he's not doing that. And what happened in July? Was it in July near beginning of August where holy shit, he's getting a storyline, he's getting on Raw. And it just fucking vanished and went away very, very quickly. And he saw the writing on the wall. And you can't blame him for wanting to be released.
It was funny. I think like that same night or that next Raw, he was on a ride-along with his wife. And I think right after he asked for his release. And that's kind of fun. And he was actually a pretty funny guy, too. When you watch that episode or not. But he's actually pretty funny.
I think him and Maria brought their storyline shit home like Savage said long ago. Really? Our favorite man, Conan, said on his podcast that he isn't a star and he ain't shit without his wife, Maria.
Damn. So he's not going to Impact. Yeah. I think he wants to try to ride the AEW train and go face Cody again.
He said she was the star while they were in Japan. Damn. I wouldn't know. I didn't really watch much. But I know she was a hit over in New Japan, but basically because of what she wore.
I think we've all seen the gifs.
Yeah, so... It's been a fun show tonight, everybody. I know we kind of started late, so I do apologize for that, but we do appreciate everybody who did join us on this late night edition of Get the Tables. Don't forget, we will be live again on Tuesday night with our first Impact watch party on a Tuesday, so that should be fun. Bob Ruski thinks that in the Being the Elite YouTube videos that the shots at WWE are not going to stop, and I don't mind that. It's a YouTube show. I think that's fine, but I feel like it's time for both companies, not just AEW, even though they do it a little bit more than WWE, to kind of settle down just a little bit. Just a little bit. I forgot the Randy Orton stuff. All right. Again, I don't know how credible Ryan Clark is, and this is sent to us by Ted. So
Isn't
appreciate you,
he another
Ted.
one of those guys from like The
He's another
Observer?
one kind of like a Brad Shepard. I'm not really sure, but he's the one who's kind of report. This is the report I got. He says we reported earlier this week here on EWN that Randy Orton took to his Instagram account and posted a photo of himself standing in front of a sign that read "Elite."
Oh, I see
He
that.
captioned it with TikTok, and tagged Revival, Luke Harper, and Elias, along with AEW executives Chris Jericho and Cody Rhodes. This wasn't an angle of any sorts, and there is serious talk that Orton is thinking about leaving the WWE next year. It is well known that the Revival and Luke Harper haven't been happy in the WWE for months now. According to reports, Elias, Zack Ryder, and Kurt Hawkins are three superstars that aren't happy but are just sitting around collecting paychecks as long as WWE continues to honor their contracts. As far as Orton is concerned, he signed a 10-year WWE contract back in 2010 that will expire next year. There's a feeling within WWE that Orton is using his current contract status and social media accounts as bargaining power. He's
Yep.
basically letting WWE know that he's not afraid to jump ship to AEW or another promotion if the deal offer is right. Orton also doesn't like traveling as much these days as he's got a family, kids, etc. Orton took to social media once again today, noting that he'll be teaming up with the Revival again down the road. The Revival responded to the tweet, and Orton then responded with a tweet of his own saying 2020. As noted, Orton's current WWE contract expires in 2020. The Revival's current contract also expires in 2020, as they have not renewed their deals as of this writing. Wow. That's I don't know, man. Good night, Mr. Marion Watson. I know you have work tomorrow, man. Appreciate you dropping by, brother. Interesting, man. Any thoughts on
Funny
that?
to me. Because to me, everyone thinking like, "Oh, Orton's coming to AEW. Yeah, he's gonna leave WWE and come over here," and he isn't going anywhere. I'm sorry. Guess what? Guess who hasn't been on Raw in the last 2 weeks? Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm.
Guess why? Because Vince is gonna do whatever he has to make Randy Orton happy and give him all much time off he wants. Because I'm sure he'll be there this week because of Saudi, but he wasn't on last week. I know for sure because I don't remember seeing. Unless I'm wrong, but I don't remember seeing Orton on Raw last week. So I mean, yeah, I think it's just him playing it up, and they know what's going on.
He's gonna get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna get
He's
fucking
a
paid.
WE lifer.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys who's never gonna leave.
Well,
Vince,
it all depends. Remember, Khan has more money than Vince apparently. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
So Khan can throw out, I guess, whatever he wants at Randy if he really, really wants him. But you would have to expect.
If they have so much more money, then why didn't they pay Cain Velasquez more money? Because you kept hearing that, Vince and WWE offered Cain Velasquez more money to come over there than AEW did.
Yeah, so did Ted, said Bob Ruski, right? Yeah, so that's very true. Now, I think this is. Do I think Randy Orton considers leaving? I would think so. Yeah.
I don't.
I honestly think knowing AEW is totally different now than how WWE is. WWE is the house shows, the constant traveling. AEW, all you got to worry about is showing up to that TV taping on Wednesdays. That's it. Randy Orton would have the rest of the week off except on Wednesdays. And sometimes not even have to show up if he's
So they're not
booked.
doing house shows right now, AEW. But you don't think they'll
eventually yes. I would assume if they get bigger, they will start doing house shows. Absolutely. They would I would assume they would do that to get more extra money in their pocket. But right now that's not in the cards. They haven't even mentioned that. Right now it's just AEW Dynamite and then pay-per-views every 2 months or so. That's a good schedule for a guy like Randy Orton.
Look, AEW is fun and hot right now, but there's no guarantee that AEW will still be around in 2 or 3 years. There's a guarantee that WWE will be.
But if you're Randy Orton, you can't tell me if AEW comes up with you and says, "Hey, 3 years, $15 million, $5 million a year." You cannot tell me that Randy Orton.
You don't think Vince would up that?
It's possible.
More than that, I do.
It's very possible. It just depends on how much Vince sees. Because if Vince pays him that much money, imagine what he's going to have to pay the next guy that's contract's up. Seth Rollins,
are they as big
Roman
as Randy Orton, though?
Just Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are that level, aren't they?
I don't know if they're on Randy Orton's level, but I think Orton's a bigger star than Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns.
Back in the day, yes.
As of right now, I think he's had a better career than them.
Well, but he's had a longer career. You can't really. Yeah, I
agree. But all I'm trying to, I think Vince would find a way to keep Randy Orton there. Look, I think all Randy's doing is trolling the fans with this stuff. That's it. Fans are watching. They're going to say, "Oh, Randy's leaving," or he's just trying to leverage Vince to pay him one more big payday before he retires. Is Randy tempted? Yeah, I think he's tempted to go try something.
Yeah, absolutely, he's tempted.
But I think Vince is going to back up the Brinks truck to his house, saying he's still tempted. I mean...
Oh, he recently signed a big contract deal? If I'm not wrong, says Mr. Marion Watson. He might.
Yeah, he did, I believe, yeah.
Bob Ruski says, if they do house shows, you'll have to steal Penta and Phoenix more away from the others. Mr. AEW said, he's going to get a main event push soon, isn't he? I can't blame him. This is what you have to do nowadays. I doubt money is a big issue for him. He must be in the top 3 richest performers in the company given his tenure and previous pushes. If he wants to have fun, he will, but he'll con Vince out of an extra push. Probably.
Oh, I guarantee he will, because... look, what are we going to start talking next? John Cena's going to AEW? I mean, come on.
Look, Randy Orton, to me, seems like the guy that doesn't give a shit. And yes, he's been loyal to WWE for his whole career. Yes, he's going to be going to the WWE Hall of Fame. All that jibble-jabble, yes, that's all going to happen. But to me, I don't think he's worried about staying a lifer at WWE. If he wanted to, I don't think there would be any sour grapes towards Randy if he left and went to AEW. Maybe, but I would think it's more of a career move. It's just like when you switch teams in the NFL or NBA. It's a career move.
You know what I think Vince doesn't want to happen again is a Bret Hart thing. And I think Vince McMahon regrets letting Bret Hart go to WCW.
Okay.
Even though they did win the war, I get that. But if he could have, or even Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, if he would have. But at that time, they said Vince wasn't stable enough to pay all these guys all this extra money. Well, now they are.
Randy Orton, let me see. Let me wiki real quick. I'm not sure off the top of my head how old he is. I know he's probably in his 40s, that's for sure. Randy Orton, he is currently 39 years old. So he's still in his prime.
39? Still in your prime? Sweet. I'm still in my prime, too.
Well, I mean, look at Punk. He's in his 40s, and people want to see him back in wrestling, I feel like...
Well, look at AJ Styles. He's like 40.
Look at Styles. 42? Yeah, that's another prime example as well. It's just... wrestling is different nowadays. Where age is not much of an issue like it was back in the day. I think Bret Hart regrets going to WCW.
Yeah, he does. I think he regrets having that match with Goldberg.
Good one. That was a good one.
Matt Riddle needs to do?
Randy. Oh, he's older than Randy. So is Finn Balor. Look at that.
Finn Balor's like 40, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Randy is only 39. Dude's got a lot left in the tank. Randy going to AEW would be huge. It would be huge. It would be.
A lot left in the
tank.
That
would be the Lex Luger moment right there, right? If he showed up.